Good morning, guys. So I want to start off today with a little joke. What side of the cheetah has the most spots? Take a guess. The outside. Yes, that's right. Alright, so now that you're having some fun, let's carry that fun over into our math. So yesterday you looked at measuring angles using your fancy protractor right here. But today we are going to be looking at kind of using angles to help us understand maybe even a problem or to find other angles that have to do with mixed things. So hear me out. Here's what we're looking at. So I'm on your math page. I believe it is page 166. Sorry, I had to go check. And so we're going to go through this page a little bit, kind of problem by problem, and then one on the next side, but we'll try to get through this quicker today. So first thing I want you guys to look at is looking at number 1. You see the little angle, it says M, and then there's that angle APC. So when it's asking us to figure out, that's asking us what is the angle of APC. And when we're talking about APC, we're talking about this angle right here, because we see we have our points that indicate that help us. Okay, so you're probably saying, all right, Mr. T, move on. Okay, moving on. So we got to figure it out. So we're going to drag our protractor over, and this is going to be helpful because I have already drawn. So now I need to rotate. Let's see, something. Kind of moving off the screen. So we are looking at about, I think, what degree is that? About 50 degrees. So we're going to write in 50 degrees. Oh man, now we're moving everything over the place. So we have APC is 50 degrees. One of the cool things about this is now that we've solved this, we kind of have a piece of the puzzle solved. If you look here, if we look at this line, what would you say is this measurement over here? We'd say that's 180 degrees. So what we can conclude and what we can really draw away from this is that if this side right over here is 50, then we could subtract 50 from the total of 180. So we could say that really when we're talking about DPB, it's actually 180 minus 50. So we could say that this side we know automatically is 130. We don't have to do any sort of math. We didn't need to do the protractor. This was all just math. And so that's what we can reason away. So now we can carry this into the next one. If we see that this line, if part of it is 130, then what do you think is the other part? Well, you're right, it would be 50. And we can see the bottom here is going to be 130. So those numbers you'll plug in, and that's just a very simple way. So again, just to quick review, when we're talking about a whole line spread out flat is 180 degrees. So if we have an intersecting point for here, this line intersects, and we know we used our protractor and it's 50 degrees, and you try it and you tell me, and then we just subtract that from 180. Easy, very quick. Moving on. Let me know if you have questions or if you can replay it if you want to see it again and slow it down. That's all up to you. And you probably want to write your thoughts here. So this is where I want to see your guys' thoughts. Don't just skip over that and just say something simple, but really tell me what you think. Moving on down. So this is going to carry us into our next problems, having to figure out using information that we have to our advantage. That's the cool thing about math. So I've kind of given it away, but using what you just know is that we can find this missing angle. So we see here 180 degrees total. It's given us 150. So all we have to do is the subtraction. So what's the difference? We could say, oh, A must be 30 degrees. Alright? And you can figure the other ones out. I think you've got 5 and you can get 7. But you're probably thinking, alright, well, what about number 6? This one's a little different. This one's kind of like the top. Here, we're actually dealing with 360 degrees. We're dealing with a full circle. Or, so you could do that. You could do that. But I still think it's easier to break it down. We're not going to do that. We're going to break it down and just do a line at a time. So here's our first line. We're looking at this side of the line is 115 degrees. C is 180 minus 115. So that would be, let's see, I'm doing math in my head. Is it 45 degrees? You got 5. Yep. 45, no, 65. 55. Man, I can't do math. No, 65. If we did 5, yes, 65 degrees. So we would say C is 65. So then, what do we know about E? Well, E is a different line, so let's use a different color. What is the opposite side of that? Well, E is also going to be 65 degrees. And that means that D would then be 115. Are you starting to see a pattern? So when we're dealing with lines that cut through each other like this, really the opposite sides are equal. We see that D and 115 are equal, and C and E are equal. So that takes us on to our next page. Is that now we are dealing with objects, so shapes. Before it was just angles, now we're dealing with shapes. So we got to figure out, okay, how many degrees are in a triangle. So if I told you that there are a total of 180 degrees in a triangle, you can then find the missing side. So we're going to look for missing angle. We're going to look at number 8. So the first thing that we know everything equals to 180. So we could say that we'd have angle A plus B plus C. And we're going to put our angle sign because we're dealing with angles. So angle A, angle B, and angle C. It's not how you would really write it very well. You want to write it more like this, but I'm a little sloppy. So we can plug in some numbers. We know that we're going to equal 180, and they've given us the degrees of 50 and 20. So we got to find out what does G equal. So we're going to put plus G. So now we can do just some simple math. We still have 180 over here. We have 70 plus G. And we want to get G all by itself. So what we do is we subtract 70 from each side. That cancels that out. And 180 minus 70 leaves us with 110 equals G. And we're talking about degrees. So our answer for G would be 110. And even if you just look at it, we can tell that that's bigger, it's obtuse, it's more than 90 degrees. So an answer of 110 makes sense. Alright, you should be able to get the rest by yourself. Remember, raise your hand if you have a question. If you get stuck and you don't know what to do, raise your hand too. Don't be ashamed. It's better for you to ask for help than to really not do so hot grade-wise. And that's your job. And it's my job to help you. Alright, you'll get another funny joke another time. See ya.